So Mendel started setting up all these crosses, right? And the most common peas he saw were yellow, and he actually expected to see a mix of yellow and green peas in this first generation, because if you have a yellow pea and you've got a green pea, you would expect the kids to be some yellow and some green. But as you might expect, he actually saw all yellow. So like with our flowers, he's got issues again. He's got to figure out what's going on with this. And so he took these peas, the plants from these peas, that produced these peas, and tried to figure out what was next. So he took the yellow pea, since he got only yellow in the F1 generation, and he said, all right, great. There's our F1 generation with all yellow peas. He took those peas and he crossed them. Okay, so now if you cross a yellow pea and a yellow pea, you should get yellow peas, right? Not a chance. He gets yellow peas and green peas again. So before being committed to the loony bin, he's got to actually figure out what's going on here. So he's got yellow peas and green peas. The green comes back, but always, sorry about that, always in this 3-to-1 ratio, or 75% to 25% yellow to green. All right. So what he's got to figure out is this every single time? Well, it worked with his flowers. We showed you that he got purple flowers 75% of the time. He got white flowers 25% of the time. He got yellow peas 75% of the time. He got green peas 25% of the time. Is this going to keep going? Is this just kind of the way everything is? Well, when we keep going, so that was our F1 generation produced F2. This is actually something called a dihybrid cross. We'll get into these later, but this considers two traits. So in this diagram, they're actually considering whether or not the color is different and whether or not the peas are smooth or wrinkly. Okay, so those are two traits. But if we focus just on the color patterns, we're getting some yellow and we're getting some green in this second generation. Well, that's great. Okay, so he's starting to see this kind of 75-25% ratio all the time when he looked at these characteristics. So he looked at all of the characteristics that he could possibly think of to see if they would still come out in this 3-to-1 ratio, or 75 to 25%. And here you go. Smooth seeds to wrinkled seeds, 2.96 to 1. Well, give the man a break. It's not quite 3, but it's close enough, right? Because look at the number of seeds he's counted, okay? He's counted 5,474 smooth seeds, 1,850 wrinkled seeds, let alone all of these others. Look at this, okay? So in the average at the end, he is getting a 3-to-1 ratio every time when he looks at these monohybrid or single trait crosses. Okay, one trait. Okay, every time. I don't think you have the time now or the desire to count all of these characteristics, but it started to get him to think, all right, well, if things are inherited in consistent patterns, I should be able to make predictions, right? So he started making predictions based on what we today would call alleles, all right? So an allele is a variable gene, okay? So if you have 2 copies of chromosome, say this is chromosome, oh, it doesn't matter, 7, okay? On one, you might have a trait that says you're going to have brown eyes. On another, still chromosome 7, right? This one might say you're going to have blue eyes. Okay, fine. Maybe mom said you'd have brown eyes and dad said you'd have blue eyes. It's where these chromosomes originally came from, right? Mom and dad that are in you. That's right. Okay. So brown eyes and blue eyes. Well, you don't typically get one of each. So we've got to figure out what's going on. What would show up from this? If one says brown eyes and one says blue eyes, you're actually going to get brown eyes. Right? when we say that that occurs, we say that this is a dominant trait. That's what's going to show up if it's present. A recessive trait is a little different. If you actually have blue eyes, that means mom and dad both gave you information that said blue eyes. So with these recessive characteristics, you have to inherit the same recessive characteristic from both parents to have it be present in your phenotype. Right? Because the blue is actually protein. The color of your eyes is based in pigment. Right? So we have to think about that as phenotype. But when we'll talk alleles, alleles are actually referring to genotype. All right? And we'll make sure to kind of keep that at forefront for you so you can understand that more as we go. So we will look a ton at different types of alleles and pea plants with Mendel, but the story will remain the same. He will predict one thing for a while and never see it. And then he'll start to get the swing of this, start to get the handle on the math, and we'll start to see more characteristics that he can explain.